What if I told you we're putting a team together? Because sometimes when there's a job to be done or mission to accomplish, you can't just go it alone. You need partners, a team with skills and weapons, expertise, explosives. Because sometimes you need horses on film.
Howdy, y'all. Welcome to episode 2 of Horses on Film. I didn't really get a full chance to introduce myself on episode 1, but I'm Cameron Chapman. I'm a screenwriter, filmmaker type guy. I've been working in the Alberta film industry for over 25 years now. So in that time, I've worked on a lot of Westerns and that's what we're here to talk about. We're here to talk about Western movies, and more specifically, the top 100 Western movies as decided by Indiewire in their article published in 2024. And in order to do that, I put a team together. And that's why I'm going to have Dave and Scott join me now. Dave and Scott, welcome. Welcome to the
Thanks for
Horses on
reminding
Film
me we're
team.
old as dust.
Yeah.
Been working in the film industry for 25 years. Oh,
I know. I realized that I hit my 20. I'm at 26 years now, I think. I started on Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, the TV series.
Yep.
Oh, not a Western. Okay. And Dave was on that, I think. And
no, I wasn't actually on it, but I know people that were on it for sure.
Okay, yeah. And then the first film I did was Shanghai Noon, so that was right away into Westerns and the whole thing.
That I was supposed to be on, but my job at the time wouldn't let me grow a beard. They wanted one for all the extras had to have facial hair.
Pretty sure I was 17 when they were filming that.
Yeah, that's about. I mean, I was
all right.
I was 17, 18 when I started. So
yeah.
Now everyone's doing the math, and everyone knows that Dave's right. We are old as dirt.
Yeah. Hey, don't let me in.
Yeah, well, that's true. That's true.
I can be the kid on the episode for once.
You're the Schofield Kid.
The Schofield Kid. What's that from?
Episode 1 was pretty good. We talked Unforgiven, and I did make 3 mistakes though, so I'm gonna correct those mistakes now. I said Phantom Empire is starring Gene Autry. I couldn't come up with that name, Gene Autry, in Phantom Empire. I had Bud Boddicker on the brain, as I often do, when I was talking about when they would stretch 2 budgets or 1 budget into 2 movies. Mm-hmm. That's more likely Monty Hellman who did that, not Bud Boddicker. Although maybe Bud did it too. And then The Settlers 2023, I said it was Swedish. It is a Swedish co-production, but it's Argentine, Chilean, Spanish language set in Patagonia. So it's not I was getting it confused. It's not a Swedish Western, but anyway.
Well, the only thing that's Unforgiven so far is Dave's thoughts on Unforgiven. So
yeah,
you're doing fine.
I'm sorry. That's
absolutely.
That's why this would be a very boring show if we all were on the exact same. We love this, nothing but no difference.
That's why we want, like I said, we want different perspectives, and we ended up with a 16.5 out of 20 for Unforgiven. I really enjoyed Brandon's idea to do the 6-shooter ranking system, but I'm trying to make it work with Letterboxd so that we can track it all and create lists and everything.
So I think that audience
was 5. What's that?
Audience? We need a letter writing campaign.
Yeah, maybe.
Let us do out of 6.
Let us do out of 6, but we're gonna stick with 5. So it ends up with a 4.125 out of 5, which currently, since we've only covered 1 movie, puts it at number 1 on the list, where I think it'll stay for a little while before it gets dethroned from number 1. I do, however, think, and I think there's a consensus, it'll probably be top 10. when all's said and done. You think?
If not, it's my fault.
Yeah, perhaps. If not, that means there's 9, 10 other movies that are really going to blow us away.
Going through this list, there's a lot of really good films, so I'm not too sure, but I do feel this is going to be really high.
It's definitely
On my
high,
list,
yeah.
I think it'll be higher than it ranks on the Indiewire list at 18. I think.
Yes, I agree with that for sure.
Yeah,
and objectively, it belongs higher. I even though I didn't love it, objectively, yes, it deserves to be higher than 18.
Absolutely. Okay. All right. Well, we'll get there. We'll see how it shakes out. I also wanted to kind of highlight what is top 10 right now on the Indiewire list. So, and again, there's lots of great movies in the top 10. Number 10 is The Man Who Shot Liberty Valance, 1962. A lot of people would put that at number 1, so I could see that moving up. Number 9, The Shooting, 1966. Number 8, Jeremiah Johnson, 1972. I personally think that'll fall out of the top 10 if you're looking for something to fall out. That's famous for having the Robert Redford meme of him with the grizzled beard. That zoom in meme. Stagecoach, 1939 is a big epic adventure. I think that'll hang in there. Ride Lonesome, one of my favorites, 1962 is at 6. Number 5 is McCabe and Mrs. Miller, kind of famously a very good Western. When I started watching it this last time around, I was not on board. I did not enjoy it. And then it kind of shifts and it won me over. And by the end, I was like, oh, it started out a little muddy, a little brown, a little, why am I watching this? And I remember, I think my Letterboxd review, I said, they must have sold a hell of a lot of full fur coats after this movie came out. I think the fur coat craze can go directly to 1971.
Yeah, that's about right.
Number 4, For a Few Dollars More, part of the Man with No Name trilogy. I'm surprised that of the 3, that's the one in the top 5. When The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly is out there, but
I always think it's weird because I don't know if those films are bigger than the music. I think is bigger than the films.
Perhaps, and
so like I think the music. It's like Star Wars. I think is the same size as the music. This, I think the music is bigger.
Perhaps.
Yeah.
And we'll see how it all shakes out. When I've seen all those movies. I've yet to ever watch them in order, or if there is an order, I've never sat down and watched them. So I might try to do that leading up to that one. Number 3 is My Darling Clementine, which is a beautiful movie, 1946. Number 2, Once Upon a Time in the West. That's one, as a young person, I probably would have ranked that as my number 1 Western. And it's in my top 50, my favorite top 50 films of all time. And then number 1, we alluded to it at the end of last episode, is Johnny Guitar, who, again, I think it's a lovely movie, 1954. I'm just really surprised to see it at number 1. So we'll see what that is. Have you guys seen any or all of those films?
Not in a long time. I'm sure I've seen A Few Dollars More. I'm sure I've seen Once Upon a Time in the West, but I don't know when.
I think I've seen My Darling Clementine as well as those ones.
Okay.
I have to really think about it. Again, Westerns isn't my genre. That's why I'm really in for this.
That's why we're glad to have you.
Yeah. An outside perspective, I guess, is the best way I got on this one.
Absolutely.
It's going to be interesting to see as our list builds, because we don't tackle any of those movies except for Once Upon a Time in the West in the foreseeable future.
We'll see as the
randomly selected our stuff, and only one of those top 10 comes in the first 10 episodes.
Yeah, which is interesting. We'll see if we really get into when number 1 comes up, I'm almost wondering, do we save that for last? Do we hold it off, and even if it comes up randomly, and just do it last, or do we just let it randomize?
I don't mind that idea, because then you can watch it and compare it to the 99 or plus that we watched before it, and then I think that's one of the problems doing Unforgiven first is that, again, I love that movie. I don't think I can heap enough praise on that film.
It's going to be hard to dethrone.
Yeah. And so we started at such a high watermark that I'm like, we'll get there.
I think Unforgiven for me is a dethronable number one.
Okay.
And I have seen 71 of these. So I really do feel like there's a handful of them that I would easily rank above Unforgiven. So you're going on a journey. You're gonna love it.
I'm going through the list in my head being like, yeah, there's a couple I personally like more. But as a Western, I don't know. As a film, yes.
One other film I forgot to mention last week is there's a movie called The Unforgiven. John Huston movie, 1960, starring Audrey Hepburn and Burt Lancaster. Oh. And it's a decent movie. It's certainly, it doesn't, it's not original to the remake. Like, they're not related. But I did notice watching Horizon Chapter 1, they pulled a little homage to it or stole something from it, where the family is shuttered into their farmhouse and they're being attacked by Native Americans from all sides. So they have little windows and they're shooting out all the windows and they run out of bullets. So they take the child's tin soldiers and start melting them down with they're packing them into a little pot and melting them down and making just little chunks of lead that they can shoot. And they did that in The Unforgiven, and then it came up again in Horizon.
That's interesting. Did Burt Lancaster do anything else?
Well, Burt Lancaster is in a lot of Westerns, including The Professionals, 1966. And that's our feature presentation today. So we could probably, good segue, Scott.
Ooh.
I did do the homework.
All right.
You did. So we'll bring this thing up and we'll take a look at the synopsis from Indiewire. Put on some mood music. Go. Rough, tough, and ready. An arrogant Texas millionaire hires 4 adventurers to rescue his kidnapped wife from a notorious Mexican bandit. Nice and short.
Yes, that's very short. And you know what I like about that synopsis from Letterboxd is that it doesn't give away the twist. And there is a bit of a twist in this, and it comes fairly early as far as twists are concerned.
Mm-hmm.
Are we giving away the twist?
But yes, I think we will. I think
spoiler warning.
Yeah, we're not one of those. I have listened to podcasts where they will like go beat by beat through the whole story and just kind of do like a recap and talk about things as they go. I think we're just kind of more getting into our takeaways, the vibe of the whole thing. But
for a 61-year-old movie.
Yeah, exactly. I think at this point, if you've clicked on this, if you're watching, I hope you're jumping ahead. And that's part of the reason why we announced the next episode at the end of the last episode, to give you guys a couple weeks to, if you want to watch it. So this is directed by Richard Brooks. He also adapted it to the screen from a novel called A Mule for the Marquesa by Frank O'Rourke. It's filmed in Technicolor. They shot it January, February 1966, and then it came out later that year. So pretty tight turnaround. They shot in Death Valley and the Coachella Valley, California, as well as Valley of Fire State Park in Nevada. And I can only imagine that means heat, even in January, February. That just sounds like the hottest place on earth.
Death Fire.
And Death Valley and like unbelievable conditions. The score was composed by Maurice Jarre. He was David Lean's composer, so Lawrence of Arabia and a lot of, absolutely epic, unbelievable films. He's also the adopted father of Kevin Jarre, who will come up later on this list. He was the writer and dismissed director from Tombstone.
Oh,
Yes.
interesting.
90s Western. The Professionals nominated for Best Director, Best Adapted Screenplay, and Best Cinematographer, which was Conrad Hall. And Conrad Hall is absolute legend. Everything from In Cold Blood, which was also this director, to American Beauty, to he's Road to Perdition. He's done a million beautiful, perfect movies, and is kind of famous for breaking the rules and establishing a whole new set of aesthetic. So
That's how you do it.
yeah,
Someone's going to be the first.
absolutely. And the only other kind of fun fact I want to throw out there is that, again, we talked about this in the first episode. These are movies we consider to be set in the past and set in an era, a bygone era. And this particular movie is set in 1916 at the end, according to the book. It's at the tail end of the Mexican Revolution. Our director, Mr. Brooks, was born in 1912. So he was 4 or 5 years old when this was happening. And I like to think, that would be similar to us setting a movie in 1985, or, if you think about a movie like Back to the Future or Ferris Bueller's Day Off, or, even Raiders of the Lost Ark, in that like early 80s E.T., this was him, remembering what it was like in his youth, the cars that were driving around, the trains that were
You're
driving.
really insistent on just making us feel extra old.
That's my
like your goal today. Like, I'm just gonna turn into dust right on camera.
If I sit like this any longer, my back is never going to get up again.
It'll be like the end of Last Crusade where we just like melt.
Yeah.
Again, I just think, in context, it's sort of wild to imagine that these people were around. And then director Richard Brooks passed away in 1992. So that's, the year Unforgiven came out. So we kind of span this whole thing right in that first 2 episodes. It's sort of crazy. What are your guys' thoughts? Dave, what's your history with this film? Have you seen it before?
Not at all. I may have heard the name, but I would have assumed from the name that it was a mobster film or something like that. But I had no idea what it was going into it.
Like an Untouchables kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. Yeah. And I think there was a TV series called The Professionals that
There might have been.
Is not a Western at all. Like,
No.
I think it's sort of almost, I imagine, certain shows, even maybe the A-Team, maybe even Mission Impossible, things like that were maybe born out of this idea.
Yeah.
So is this the first of this type before I get into this?
I mean, I don't think so. I think there was probably war movies.
When did Dirty Dozen come out?
I could look that up. But The Dirty Dozen, comes to mind. The Wild Bunch came out after this. My history in high school, I kind of discovered the Wild Bunch, and then from that I watched this. So the Professionals and the Wild Bunch I kind of watched a lot of when I was in high school, and also, and there's a reason why there's a quick clip of Reservoir Dogs in the intro, because I watched Wild Bunch and the Professionals because of Reservoir Dogs, and that idea of like, you're a big fan, right?
Yeah.
How about you, Scott? Have you seen it before?
So I had not seen it before. One of the things I noticed is it did not, and this the word I'm going to use a lot, I think, is pacing. I noticed that this movie did not win for editing. I found one of the things I noticed is the movie likes to do one thing at a time, which is if we're eating and sitting around the campfire, we're eating and sitting around the campfire. We're not talking. That's what we're doing. There's a scene where the Demolitions guy, Burt Lancaster, I think, actually, is like under, and he's placing like to be able to blow up I like that it wasn't right away. That's one of the things I like as well, is it didn't come up till about an hour later, actually. But he places, and then he comes out and kind of explains why he's doing it. And I'm like, in a modern film, he'd be under there being like, and this is why we're doing this, and kind of two things at once. And I found it a little slow.
Although, to be fair, in a modern film, you'd have like a little wireless earbud and be able to tell us why he was doing it.
Well, no, because the other guy, like, you would have
context.
one guy handing it the dynamite to him, which I think they actually did, if I remember correctly. And then he'd be placing it, and then he'd be explaining to his helper friend, like, this is why we're doing it. And obviously it's talking to the audience, because I'm sure the guy knows. But I find film of a certain age, I don't know if they're just trying to, like, again, we kind of talked about the Great Train Robbery and how I don't know if we talked to, actually, maybe it was on a different podcast, how it was one of the first ones that did the cut inside and hoping the audience would follow.
Right. Yeah, that was I think we talked about it, unless it was off recording, maybe.
Yeah, I think
So
probably.
Yeah, and like, it's one of the things is, would the audience understand? And I feel like this is still of the day where we're like, no, we need to, even though it's 50 years after the Great Train Robbery, we're one thing at a time. So the audience, and I didn't feel it was deliberate here.
It's definitely paced out a little different. But I think it is part of a new kind of revisionist scene in the 60s, where things are moving a little quicker than some of the ones from the 50s. So I think you'll find the 50s ones even really slow down. But yeah, and like the music starts with those castanets, and it kind of feels like, we're on and the intro, when they're introducing the characters and putting that team together, it's moving along pretty quick.
No, I was gonna say,
it does slow down. It does take its time.
That first, like, 5 minutes just blows by, where we're like beat. When we're talking about Unforgiven, when we're talking about separating the hogs, that whole scene has like 20 things going on. Like, the hogs, Clint Eastwood, not like, there's so much subtext and subtlety.
Yeah. And
then we come here and everything is, I wouldn't say spelled out, but the audience is given time to absorb it.
I would say, for pacing wise, one of my small complaints is I wish there was only one valley. They go through that valley and they talk about when we come back through here, we could blow that and pin them in, kind of thing. And
they didn't really for a while.
They did in the sense that they, those Raza and his group would have to go around, bought him a little time, but then they kind of ended up in another valley
with the graveyard, right?
Where he has to, where Bill decides he's going to stay behind to hold them off as they get, I think if you were getting studio notes or whatever, they might say, hey, let's tighten all this up and just have one valley, and maybe move the scene where you have to, kill her favorite horse to before they get to the valley or something like that, so that it saves a whole location from an economy of storytelling and an economy of filmmaking. Why are we moving the trucks? That's just my first thought.
You said this, and I was like, the first thing came to mind was the multiple battles in Saving Private Ryan. But I think what makes it work is you get this big set piece battle, and then it really quiets down and gets very introspective. And I don't think we had much of that. It was always like you said, Reservoir Dogs, like that bantery back and forth when it was happening, whatever that looked like in the 60s. But like compared to today. And
there's some great dialogue in this. I
there's some
enjoyed the dialogue.
Great one-liners.
There's the one line that, there's a lot of good lines and a lot of famous lines that have come out of it. But even the simple where he goes, "I'll be damned," and he goes, most of us are, just little simple, these guys are just so cold as ice. And you know what? Modern day, is there even one act? This movie has 4 big, tough, rough, weathered war veteran actors. Is there even one guy that could play one of these roles modern day?
It's funny because the first thing you said, The Expendables, came to mind.
Yeah.
But I think that was being done on purpose, not just like we're just going to get who's known at the time together. Nowadays is like The Expendables is digging people out of the grave. Like, so like it's just like,
yeah, by the time you get to the sequels
but
and
like
stuff.
that's the point. But yeah, I see what you're saying about this. Like, where it was funny because as they're introducing the characters, I'm like, that's the tough guy. Nope. That's the tough guy.
Yeah.
Like,
You know, and even Hans, who's Robert Ryan, you know, he's a famous TV or movie tough guy. He's a Western tough guy, and he's kind of the sensitive one, and you know, he really cares about those horses, and you know, he doesn't want to put down the Mexican horses, and it ends up biting them in the butt because they run back and give away the location of the buried 10 guys they kill, and you know, so like they're making kind of sensitive choices, even though they're these big tough guys on this dangerous mission, you know.
It's funny because that's not the only choice that stood out to me. When they're on the train and the one guy's like, hey, do you care about working with everyone here? I'm going to use that term. I'm going to say it that way. And I was like, oh, that did not age.
And I think even at the time, I mean, that's one of the biggest eye rolls I've ever seen. When that is even questioned. I mean, this is a character who fought in the Mexican Revolution, fought alongside Mexicans for their freedom, married a Mexican woman, and who's the I want to say Bailey, but it's not Bailey. The Grant who hires them. I think what that really is, and even in 1966, I think that's a little seed that, oh, maybe this guy's the bad guy.
Oh, I think so too.
Yeah. There's between that and between. Sorry.
No, go ahead.
I was just saying between that and pronouncing Jesus Jesus were kind of the two clues in that scene where I kind of thought, oh, okay, you know, he's maybe not all he says he is.
It's funny because how they introduce the characters. The character in question is the only one we're seeing actually getting something done. Because he shows up with the outlaw and hands him in.
Yeah,
like, hey, up to this point, he's the only one I know can get stuff done, and now he's being questioned. And it was just like that's a of its time moment.
Yeah.
Although you do sort of see that, like Robert Ryan was, you know, he kind of berates that guy for mistreating the horse and dispatches him pretty quickly. And you can see that Lee Marvin's character is showing the army how to use their own weapons.
Yeah.
You know, so he's like a weapons expert. And it's a very concise, like you say, it slows down later. It was a very concise, perfect intro for all these guys. You know exactly who Woody Strode is when he pulls that guy in, dispatches him as soon as there's resistance. And even that, you know how willing they are to do anything for the money. And
I like how that's an underlying theme. That and loyalty come up a lot. And they actually, like, it feels like they're butting heads at times, which is, like you said, Reservoir Dogs. Like it's that's, I can see the comparison. It's pretty easy there.
There's a scene where Bill questions whether or not Lee Marvin's character is going to actually turn this woman over to Grant. And as soon as he says, no, that's our job, that's what we're doing, he kind of goes, yeah, that's what I wanted you to say, you know? And it's kind of that constant of who's going to be the first to be like, maybe we're not the good guys.
Also, Raza is Curly, isn't he?
Jack Palance.
Jack Palance. Thank you. I couldn't remember. And he was also in Batman. He was first Batman. He's
yes. Yeah.
It was, but I like because City Slickers feels like the end of his career, and he's back to like a Western. And I like that a lot.
He does show up in a few of these, absolutely. Yeah. And you know, again, you know, talk about the time. You know, he's being cast as a Mexican freedom fighter. He's Ukrainian or you know, Polish, and obviously not Mexican, but he does a very nice job with the role and plays it with a dignity. And he's got that really great monologue at the end where you kind of say he says all you ever really need to say about what a revolution means to people. And there's a line in there, and it's one of the famous lines that, maybe there is only one revolution in the end. It's the good guys against the bad guys. And since the beginning, that's all we have here. And that's a very good theme for Westerns to take on, because that's kind of what we're doing here.
The white hats versus the black hats.
Exactly.
And I think that's the underlying, because like when you look at like the 50s, I'm going to lose some credit here. Cool Hand Luke and Steve McQueen films and stuff like that. Easy Rider, stuff like that. That outlaw pushback is what, in my mind, defines Westerns. And as much as horses on film, as much as six shooters, as much as, standoffs at the OK Corral kind of crap. It's that freedom of just you in the open, and it's nothing is forcing me to do what I have to do except for me. Yeah,
and this is a group of men on a mission, and they signed a contract, and they are going to fulfill that contract, even when the twist comes in, and they realize that this woman was not kidnapped. And now suddenly a rescue mission becomes a kidnapping. And they realize that now they are exactly who they set out to stop, and very litigiously figure that out, or spell that out for the person who hired them, to say, you have no recourse to come after us. You hired us to do a job, and this is the job we're doing. It just turns out you're the person that we need to save it from.
It's funny because in the movie Ransom, Mel Gibson does the exact same thing, right? Where here's the ransom money. This is what they asked for, but I'm not going to give it to you. I'll give it to whoever gets the job done.
Okay.
And it's a mid-90s, I think. And then here we are doing it again. When he introduces the banker with the little vault, and I was thinking, like, it's funny because it's all in a little vault. I was like, just steal the vault, but it's so small. But
I think it's probably too small for the amount of gold
coins
that's in it, and they were all low denominations too, which just raises the weight.
Yeah,
I'm sure
$50 or less.
Yeah.
But he's interested in the guy that he came with, which we later find out. And he's kind of dismissing him. He's like, you as a banker, he's like, you gave me my money. Why are you still talking? It's just like,
count it. Yeah.
He's on this mission, which made me feel like, and I think it hides the twist much better, where he's just like so focused on getting her back that, and I was focused. I'm like, okay, this is a man like who's really just scrambling to make this happen.
Yeah. And what makes a woman worth that, right? And they question it a few times. They're like, why is he going to this effort to get this woman back? And obviously, he's in a different place than she is, as far as their relationship. But I think it's a power thing too, right?
100%. Also, it's interesting. The guy who questions whether a woman is worth this much money is the one that changes his mind whether she's worth that much money.
It takes him the whole adventure to figure it out, but he does figure it out. Absolutely. And I mean, Claudia Cardinal, one of the all-time movie beauties, but then also a very, very strong female character, and an actress that is a very strong activist and fought a lot for women's rights, and kind of left the Hollywood system because she didn't want to get pigeonholed into these, damsel roles, and had a brilliant career.
Very Jane Fonda-ish, where it's this, I see what we're doing. I did my body of work where it's more about this than this, and then I don't want to do that anymore.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And she's great, and she's also in Once Upon a Time in the West too. Yeah. So again, we'll see her a few times, and she's incredible. And what did you guys think of the music?
I like it.
Yeah.
Nothing stands out.
There's one scene where they're crossing the desert, and it might be when the sand is really pelting them, and they're in really kind of rough shape, where I almost got a Planet of the Apes kind of feel from the music. It kind of had that kind of, I mean, they've been working the castanets and stuff for a while, but it kind of got into horns and kind of offbeatness that reminded me of Planet of the Apes.
I'm wondering if it was music that was created for something else, and they went, let's just save and bring it over.
It's possible.
Yeah, I
It's
could.
unlikely at that point.
Studio
But not.
Who knows?
Yeah, exactly. Who knows?
Yeah, not with Maurice Jarry on the case, because I think he's a legend. So I think he's kind of the but they were definitely going for a different sound. And Planet of the Apes came out 2 years later, so maybe the music in Planet of the Apes inspired by this,
maybe.
And it's sort of
now
again.
I want to rewatch it just to listen to the music.
Yeah, well, that's good enough reason.
It's true.
Also, this movie gets credited, maybe falsely, but for being the first Western with nudity. And even though the nudity,
it's implied, I thought, more than actually shown.
Yeah, there's that kind of one far away look at Chiquita. She's bathing out in the open.
Yeah,
and then there's a few kind of
when they first introduced
moments.
I think it's Burt Lancaster is the dynamite guy. I just want to double check.
Yeah,
he's in bed with another lady, and when she gets up, it's implied.
Yeah, I think so. And obviously it's 1966. They're what can they show, what can't they? I believe, and I might be wrong, we can do it in the what I did wrong in episode 3. Marilyn Monroe possibly filmed some nudity for the Misfits, which is also on this list, but I don't think it ever made the cut, which would have been 10 years before this, or a while before this. 61 actually, so 5 years before this.
One of the things I like as well is there was this underlying joke about Burt Lancaster losing his pants, and I actually I like that it paid off a little bit. Like every once in a while they come back to it, and I was just I thought that was funny. I actually really enjoyed that.
And it's one thing that I didn't see in the book. I started reading the book, A Mule for Marquesa or whatever. I don't. I'd have to go back and read it again because I was looking for it. I don't even think the scene where he was in jail, where I don't think they had to bail him out of jail. I think he was just with Lee Marvin's character.
No, he was on the chain gang, and they had to give him $700 to get him free
in the movie. Yeah, but I don't think any of that was in the book. So that idea that Burt Lancaster is a real dog with the ladies. It's sort of. I mean, it's kind of a Burt Lancaster thing too.
But also that I think that reinforces when he goes, "No, this lady's worth the money," because he seems the type that's probably left some money on the end table kind of thing.
It's
but
also,
now she's
it's also very interesting that that these characters knew each other in the Revolution. That he knew Chiquita, and they had a bit of a history with each other, and when they say, "Oh, Raza did this," he's like, "Our Raza?" This is someone from their former team that they fought alongside with and know kind of intimately, and even they don't really buy that he's a kidnapper. The twist is kind of feathered in there that, of course, when they get there and she's not kidnapped, it's kind of a fake ransom scam that they're trying to pull to get money, to get weapons and all that stuff. It sort of kind of strikes me as interesting, but also sort of odd that there's these two sides, and they knew each other beforehand.
Yeah, and you can see that as well when again with the shootout of Burt Lancaster and Raza, and I can't remember her name, but Baby is what he keeps referring to, because they knew each other and intimately, from what I can tell. And that it really, I want to like this film more. I really do. But the center hour like you said, it slows down, and it really slows down. And I don't know if it's because the beginning, like that first 5 minutes is modern storytelling.
It sets you on a pace for sure.
Yeah, and when they gets out of the Model T and kind of looks at it like this is new to me, and I was like, oh, I like that. That's like, because you wouldn't see a lot of those at that time, right? So, like, it's.
I think that this movie is, looking at it now, is very, very different than what it would have been looking at it even 40 years ago. Never mind 60 some years ago.
No, and again, 92, Unforgiven. I feel it really, and I know I'm going to probably throughout this whole series, I'm going to keep saying this. It feels like, because like Hollywood changed, the editing changed when you had like Spielberg and Scorsese and the 70s era guys, Spielberg, it says Spielberg, Lucas, stuff like that. Film changed.
Yeah, De Palma, some of those guys, they pushed it into
like how you said De Palma and the little guys. Like,
yeah,
De Palma.
It's honestly, and you do see it even, especially in advertising. You really see the ability of an audience to comprehend a shot that is less than a second long, or a commercial that is 5-6 seconds long, and that's all they need. You just didn't see anything at that speed back then, and it took a very long time to get there, for sure.
How many films were in theaters while this was in theaters? Like, it's not like today. We have multiple plexes with multiple films.
It's hard to say. I did see something where there was 4,000 something movies released in 1966. I don't know what that number is now, but
how would you even get there?
Yeah,
that's crazy.
Yeah, but I was looking for some other kind of 1966 movies, and there's, I think, 3 others on this list. So there were other Westerns in that time, and that's when you do sort of get into some of the Monty Hellmans and some of the newer ones. I did want to say, I think as far as racial slurs go, Gringo it's great. Like I really, like, I now want to live in a world where I get called a gringo at least once by a band of thieves.
Yeah,
also, it's like how it's said. Like, it's just like I call myself a gringo all the time. It's just what it is.
The Mexican cast in this does a great job. Like, just some of those guys they meet along the way, and maybe part of the pacing too is the idea that they really want to make it seem like this was a journey, and that they were running into danger the whole way, and then I think Maria kind of reiterates a couple times that they had been tracking them since they got to the border. Like, there's been teams that knew where they were at all times. A lot of people maybe assume they have the gold with them. So there's, all these little bands that are like, maybe coming for them. And
they had the $1,000 each with them because Burt Lancaster takes it with him.
Yeah, they would have had some money with them for sure. They certainly didn't have the ransom with them, I don't think.
Yeah.
But,
no.
But and then there's kind of a hopefully satisfying ending, even though nobody in the film is really too satisfied, other than maybe Maria, who gets away with her lover, and although he's been wounded, and who knows how long
I didn't think he had long left based on how they left him.
No, yeah. I mean, it was in his leg, but at the time, I mean, you're talking about a lot of blood loss, and he did make the journey on the horse. I really like that when they showed up at the end there with Raza. Yeah. And even Lee Marvin is like, what are you doing? What's this about? And I think to a certain extent, I think he's hoping Bill does make that choice. And then when he does make that choice, it's like, oh, good. Now we're on the same page. Yeah. This is, we accidentally swapped to the other side for a minute.
Yeah. But that's part of I think that's part of the revolution talk as well, though, where it's like sometimes for a true revolution, sometimes you're on both sides, and it all depends. As long as the end goal is the same and you can truly say you're working towards it, sometimes you're not going to be the rebellion in Star Wars is on the other side.
Yeah, you want to put somebody else in charge, but then once that side is in charge, you have to make sure that they don't just turn into the bad guys again.
I like how you're talking about the CIA in Argentina.
Sometimes the revolution is just horses on film.
Sometimes. So should we do our horses on film count?
That seems like a reasonable time to do that. Yeah,
absolutely. So so of course this is just a 4-level thing. No horses, some horses, lots of horses, all the horses. All the horses would be we've lost count. At one point when they're staring down into the hacienda, he says there's 60 horses plus mules. So I would put this at lots. I put this at lots of horses.
I had lots of horses too.
Yeah. I put it as lots of horses, bordering on all the horses, because there was more horses than men.
Way more horses, and it's a moment or two where they really care for the horses and really talk about what it takes. I mean, they talk about needing nerves of steel to get across this desert, but the mules and the horses and all that are taken into account too, which is why the Hans character is there at all.
The only time I cared about something dying was the horses. Like that. Yeah, I'm like, men can make choices. You've made your choice. The horses don't.
Does the dog live? .com or whatever. Where you do, and he even says you kill 10 men, no big deal, but one horse, and everyone gets upset.
Yeah.
But he says it in such a disdain way. But by the end of it, I actually think if that line were to come up again, it'd be a different tone.
Well, you start making a journey like that, or making your way back, and you realize the value of a horse that can get you there. Those alkaline flats and everything, and in the book, it's her favorite. Maria's favorite is a mule. So they kind of make jokes that she's so attached to this mule. In this, it seemed to be a very beautiful horse that they pointed out as their favorite.
That also makes the title of the book make more sense. How does that get from A to B?
It was a mule, and they talk a little bit about the what it takes to pack for this type of adventure too, because you kind of have to go in with everything you need to get you there and back. Mm-hmm. You have to assume that there's no water holes. You have to assume that there's no food.
It's like being shot to Mars. What if you are coming back? You got to bring it with you now.
This is very much. I mean, that's the modern day equivalent
now.
Yeah, absolutely. They were heading. This was the frontier. Yeah. What about ratings? How are we going to do this? What do you think, Dave? You go first.
If I was watching this decades earlier, I might have given it a different rating. But I found this to be a very average film, where things might have been more revolutionary at the time. Mm-hmm. The characters uninspired, but perfectly serviceable. So I gave it just a strict 2.5.
2.5, just middle.
Right in the middle.
Higher than Unforgiven. I'm going to lose
a higher argument. I could accept a lower argument, but
I'm going to
just 2.5. 2.5 out of 5. All right.
Yeah, my heart dropped for there when you said it. I was like, if this is, I'm going to give this film a Dave's Unforgiven 3.5. 3 out of 5. No. 3 out of 5. It's I actually.
Oh, that's your rating? You're 3 out of 5, Scott?
I'm going to give it a Dave 3 out of 5.
Yeah. Okay.
Very Dave's Unforgiven 3 out of 5.
Yeah.
I'm gonna,
and he'll never be forgotten.
It's gonna come up again, I'm sure.
I'm sure, very sure. I'll never live it down.
The thing is like, I would love to see there's a film called The Fall, and David Fincher and Spike Jonze went, this needs to be seen, so they went and got it and brought it out. I'd be curious to see something like that, where a more modern sensibility went over and just made a couple cuts. Editing and pacing was my and that's a big deal to me. When I watched it in about 20-minute chunks, and then I'd pause it and go get coffee and come back, or I'd pause it and go sit on the deck for 5 minutes and come back. It never drew me in, but I like the story. I like the twist. I like the characters. I love everything except the film. like it
Yeah,
put
the
it's a sense of
overall.
it isn't the
Yeah.
sum of its parts.
Well,
And
then that 3.5 is a very fair rating for that, and it
yeah,
actually
that's
maybe
kind
even
of middle to me.
yeah, maybe even high, because I'd say like I'm at 3.5 too. I think I wavered back and forth between 3 and 3.5.
Mhm.
But for me, the cinematography is gorgeous.
Mhm.
I think the performances are great, and I know like Lancaster and Lee Marvin, kind of famously did not get along on this set. The director is screaming at them constantly, and I just imagine it was probably a fun movie to an extent, but also pretty tough conditions to make. I I just I think it is. I think it's probably, in my opinion, higher than 97 on the list. I think at 3.5 out of 5 for me, I would move it closer to the middle of the list. And
Yeah.
and that's kind of what Dave said. It's a serviceable kind
Yeah.
of and I also think that because it inspired a lot of great movies too, I give it, and I saw it in high school, and it kind of I like this idea. I mean, putting a team together, that whole idea in cinema of putting a team together. I don't say it comes from this, but this was an example of it, and in a setting that I love. I do love the twist. I love the idea that you think it's one thing, and then it ends up being just a little bit more complicated.
Yeah.
And that's the difference between a 1955 movie and a 1966 movie. And although on our next segment, I'm going to get into one of those, but I'm at 3.5. I think that's my.
I wonder if, again, compared, because we're only on episode 2, so I'll go back to Unforgiven on this one.
Yeah.
The characters in Unforgiven were complicated, but the plot wasn't. Where this, I feel, is different, where the characters didn't feel complicated, but there's complications in the plot.
Yeah, that's true. Like the characters are kind of archetypal,
Mhm.
kind of, they all kind of serve their purpose on the team. Even the bad guy, I mean, he's not, mustache twisting or whatever, but
Yeah.
he thinks he's doing the right thing, but not to the extent that Little Bill thought he was doing the right thing. Grant is just being completely selfish, and he doesn't put up a huge fight.
Well,
When he sees her with Raza and sees how much Raza means to her, I think he kind of thinks the only way out of this is to kill everybody. And
you can see the 4 behind him too, and there's a little bit of don't even try it. Like it's like we have them, we have us. We just went through this and back. We are hardened. I don't know about you guys.
It could have ended with just a bloodbath.
Yeah.
But I think cooler heads prevailed, and the title The Professionals, I think literally, I mean, Lee Marvin especially was a professional, and I love when they run into the bandits in the valley there, and he says, he gives them the rundown. If they come up single file, they're nice. If they fan out and there's kind of no leader, we have to worry about it. If he puts the hat over the gun,
I actually like that a lot.
He knows all these things, and he's been in all these situations before. And they even have a little line like, "We'll do it like we did in Durango." Absolutely, and I think those types of things have carried forward into other movies, and where it's just like I love watching a show, even something modern day or Mad Men or something, where you're watching someone who's good at something, or possibly the best at something, doing what they do.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like these were the right guys for this job.
Definitely.
In every way, they were professional. They fulfilled their contract, and they walked away with $1,000 each, unfortunately, and didn't get the 10 grand.
So you think it would move up? It's going to move up on the list.
Scott, I do.
Where do you think it's going to land?
So I probably watched the least out of all of us, which says a lot.
Yes.
The ones I have watched, I don't think this is better, but the ones I've watched are like There Will Be Blood and No Country for Old Men, and like the well-known films of the genre. And so I don't think this is better than it, but it is better than I originally thought going in. I don't know if I'd watch it again. Where I don't know how many times I've watched Unforgiven or There Will Be Blood or
Sure.
even some of the westerns that didn't make this list. I've probably watched more often. But I like it, and I think and again, this might be a recurrent theme. I wanted to like it more.
Sure.
And
I mean, and it's at number 97. So, I mean, it came close to not making this list.
Yeah.
So,
Also,
we're going to talk about a
97
few that didn't make this list over the, as the future goes on.
yeah.
So it's quite possible that it could end up bumped off the list.
Well,
That's
and
at
interesting.
an average price.
being
Yeah.
number 97 on a top 100 of a genre this big is still really good.
Still really good. Yeah.
Yeah,
Very,
it's still
very
really good. Like if you were like, if someone was like, "You're the number 97 gamer in the world," I was like, "Well, cool, that's awesome." Like that.
Yeah.
I'm a gamer guy, and so like I can see that. Yeah, I'm only number 97, but how many out there, right? Like I made the list. So
yeah, if you're the top 100 of anything on this planet, that's a very
That's
good
pretty
thing.
good. Yeah.
Yeah.
pretty much.
Yeah. From off the list though, is there anything off the list that I'll point out a couple immediately? Vera Cruz from 1954. I alluded to it earlier. Vera Cruz is a 1960s revisionist Western that just happened to have been made in 1954. Like it's the Mexican Revolution. It brings in some interesting things about the French. The French are setting up a monarchy or trying to set up a monarchy amidst in Mexico. And again, Burt Lancaster, Gary Cooper are kind of on a mission around a woman. I think Vera Cruz could easily be on this list and maybe in the place of The Professionals if it didn't make it.
I'm not gonna suggest any. I don't have a deep enough knowledge of the genre to knowingly give a proper, this should be on the list.
Right.
But I can definitely see as we go through, through the list and through some of these not on the list films that it could easily get bumped off.
Yeah, it's interesting. I was hoping it would move up, but we'll see because we're going to see some good movies. So there's going to be some high rankings. I think
average, just because it's average, does not mean it's
might not be
going
good
to move
enough.
up.
Yeah, that'll be interesting to see. Another one is called Bite the Bullet, 1975. It's the same director. It's Gene Hackman from Unforgiven.
Little Bill
and Candice Bergen. It's an interesting film. It's set around it's a mission for money. It's a 700-mile horse race that they've entered for the chance to win $2,000. You get pretty far into it and you have a pretty intimate knowledge of all the characters, and there's a twist. And so it kind of has a bit of a similar cadence to this and the same director. But those are the two that I would say are maybe in the conversation. Bite the Bullet, 1975, not quite as high rated. Hasn't been seen as much, maybe. Vera Cruz, pretty popular movie. Might have a little bit better argument jumping.
I'd be curious to see it. When we were talking about other films I could knock it off, what I realized was what I like I like dark characters. Again, Clint Eastwood, Unforgiven, stuff like that, Mooney. And I don't think we get there till about the 70s in filmmaking, where it's truly like, I'm thinking Travis Bickle. I'm thinking like really conflicted characters.
That's why Taxi Driver helped to influence Unforgiven, because
and so I'm wondering if the director now 75, Gene Hackman and stuff like that, I'm wondering if that influence, if you took this story and really because you're killing a bunch of people, but at no point in this film was I like, you're a bad guy. Like Grant is just a bad guy, not a bad guy. He's a rich white guy who thinks he can own the world. Yeah. Themes carry through to today, but but I don't think you're a bad guy. You're not out there like cutting government jobs or anything.
It's just we are going to get into some real bad guys.
And I'm wondering if that's this shift in the 70s where we got that gritty, and a lot of things where Tarantino pulls out of that grittiness.
Yeah, we'll see it.
I'm hoping to see more of that. And I'm 75.
Yeah.
See if this director pulls it. I actually am
Well-
gonna. It's not on the list. I'm gonna go watch it though.
All right, yeah, and we are gonna kind of hopefully do little bonus episodes about some of these things that are off the list, and cover them to see if they should jump on. And Vera Cruz is one that I would see. It does have that grimy grit, and yeah. But our next episode, episode 3, is number 25 on the list.
Revenge of the
25.
Sith.
It is. It's not a Star Wars film. Although we could argue Star Wars should be on this list too, but that's just me trying to put Star Wars on every list.
Mandalorian is a Western.
Yeah, Solo is a
Book
Western.
Book of Boba Fett is totally a Western.
Book of
Totally
Boba Fett
Western.
is a Western, and has pacing issues. So here we go.
Oh yeah.
But next on the list is number 25, The Tall T. It's directed by Bud Boddicker. It's one of my favorites. It's starring Randolph Scott, Richard Boone, and Maureen O'Sullivan. And yeah, 1957. You're starting to see really economic filmmaking in that one, and I look forward to covering that.
Yeah, I haven't watched it yet. I'm going to watch it here in the next couple of days. So,
all right. Well,
I'm actually looking forward to all this. So,
Yeah,
like I say, we're going on a little journey through the West here. So we're gonna bounce around a little in years, and we're gonna see some color films, some black and white films, some silent films, some Italian films, some Korean films. We're all over the place.
I'm looking forward to to me, again, Open Wild West. But at some point, and I think maybe Unforgiven again is the turning point where the Outlaws was I'm outlawing against the law, but in a film like Hell or High Water, we are outlawing against the system, and I want to say those are two different. And so a Western to me, in a modern Western, is no, the system is corrupt and we're going against it, or the system is working as intended. Not for us. And even though we're doing what we're being told, hell or high water, it's not working.
And in The Professionals, they're doing what they signed up to do.
Yeah.
And they are going to honor that, and that idea of loyalty and honor and friendship and right and wrong gets kind of thrust into the forefront, and it's a nail biter, kind of to the end if they are going to do the right thing and still find a way to fulfill what they promise, what they set out to do.
Mm-hmm. Looking forward to it.
Yeah. So that's The Professionals. Thank you very much again, Dave and Scott. There's a reason why I didn't have a guest on this one, because this is the team I've put together, and we're talking about putting a team together, and I really appreciate you guys doing this with us, and we'll be back with guests on other episodes, I'm sure, but I wanted to have a kind of a quick one with just us, and thank you so much. And Dave, what's going on in your world? Where can we find you?
So you can find me on Sundays on Spill the Geek Tea, where we just kind of talk about whatever is up, whatever we're in the mood for. You'll see me Mondays here on, of course, Horses on Film. Tuesdays, you'll usually find me on The Legend of the Traveling TARDIS, youtube.com/The Legend of the Traveling TARDIS. And whenever I get around to it on my own channel, youtube.com/The Rat Hole DOTCA, where I talk board games. We've got miniature painting. I do live streams, all sorts of fun stuff. How about you, Scott? Where can we find you?
Pawn and Pixel is going to start up by the time you see this. We're going to get back at it. We took a break off kind of pandemic. So we are starting to do that. Breakfast Scotch National, as you can see here, that's where I try to digest the news and try to make it funny. It's been a rough week, I'm not going to lie. Beyond that, just you're going to find me here. I picture myself chewing like a piece of wheat, waiting for the next one, waiting to get the call so we can go out and rescue a damsel in distress in this case. So,
love it. And and I'm Cameron, and I set up a letterbox. I got letterbox.com/Cameron Chapman. That's where you can find me. logging Star Wars over and over. And all the posters on mine right now are brown because I'm watching all these Westerns. So it's a pretty sepia toned theme over here now. And then, of course, letterboxd.com/horsesonfilm. This is where you can follow this show and the lists we're going to create and the journey we're going on. And I'll put all our rankings in there and our average ranking, and we'll figure out it. It keeps sending me messages that I haven't picked my top 4 yet. And I'm like, well, I know I'm only 2 movies into this thing. So we'll get all our details into that. And then, of course, you can find this show on youtube.com/horsesonfilm. We'll put up our little intro videos as well as the episode videos. And I think it looks like it's going to launch every 2 weeks. So it's probably been 2 weeks since Unforgiven, and 2 weeks from now, we'll be back with A Tall T. So until next time, I wanted to thank David and Scott for joining us. And yes, horsesonfilm@gmail.com. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to send those to us, and maybe tell us what's your favorite Western, or give us your top 10. And we'll see if anyone has any kind of interesting thoughts about what should be in that top 10 and what should be in that 100 episodes or 100 movies.
Yep.
'Cause, I have a feeling there's going to be some kind of wild picks out there that were maybe missed, because there's some stuff on this list that I maybe might not end up there when we're done. We'll see.
Almost certainly.
Yeah, I'd be curious to see if they come back in like 10 years and update their list. That'd be
yeah, sort of like the AFI list where they keep coming back to it. And perhaps not, because it's not like we make 30 Westerns between now and then. There'll probably only be a couple to add or subtract, but we'll see. Maybe they'll go off of our list. Maybe they'll start with our list.
Of course.
There you
go.
They're going to see Dave's review of Unforgiven and go like, that's not real list.
They're gonna have things to say about that. Absolutely. Hey, they put it at 18. So what can we say?
Yeah, that's true.
That's true. All right. Well, thank you very much. I wanted to also thank Brett Alec Bailey for our beautiful theme song. It means so much that we have some beautiful original Western music on there. So yeah, Brett Alec Bailey, and you can click on his link in our show notes there. Thank you all. Signing off. Viva la Revolution. And we'll see you on the next episode in 2 weeks. The Tall T.